Welcome to Love What Must Be Done. We are in full-on homeschool mode right now, and I thought I would take a second to just do a video about how to start homeschooling. If you are interested, you're thinking about it, you maybe realize that it actually is legal. I know that was like the first thing that my mom asked whenever she was thinking about bringing my brothers home was, is that even legal? It is. But there are some steps to consider as you process that idea of bringing your children home. Or maybe they're not in public school. Maybe you'd like to start off from the ground up homeschooling. I'm happy that I was able to see my mom transition my brothers from public school to homeschooling. I'm the oldest, and so I was able to kind of experience all of that with her. Just watching her, I was able to see her go from kind of de-schooling herself because she had been in the public school system, and my sister and I were in the public school system, and my brothers for a while. So it was interesting to be able to see how everything is morphed over the years, and I think that's the beauty of homeschooling, is what you start off doing does not have to be what you end up doing. You get to change, you get to choose what works for a certain time period. So I'm going to give you a list of 7 steps that I think would be pretty essential in your journey to decide to homeschool. And we'll start with number 1. Number 1 is that you need to figure out your state's requirements. Every state has different requirements. Some you really don't have to report anything, and some you'll need to report your children, register them, you'll need to do standardized testing and keep wonderful records. So it just depends on your state what those requirements are. I'm going to link below to HSLDA, that's the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, and they have actually each state's requirements. You'll be able to click on your state, and then it will tell you what the requirements are in your state. Okay, and then so we'll move on past that once you figure out what's required in your state to number 2. Number 2 is to research the different teaching and learning styles and educational philosophies, particularly that relate to homeschooling. I'll give you a little quick, brief intro to each one that I can think of off the top of my head, and then I can also link down below to a more thorough investigation of those. With those philosophies, we have, real quickly, traditional approach, which is basically school at home, still graded, still textbook oriented. Usually you can buy a bulk curriculum. There is the classical approach, which is heavy in literature, and it's teaching the trivium, so you teach based on the stage of your child. You have the unit study approach, which you pick a unit or a theme, and all of the different subjects are integrated into that theme, and you would do that for an extended period of time. There is the Charlotte Mason approach, which is also big into literature, but also into nature walks, nature studies. The arts are heavily integrated into that. And then there is Unschooling, which is much more informal, and it's more child-led based on interest. And then, of course, there is the Eclectic Approach. So with the Eclectic Approach, you kind of build your own curriculum, and you base it off of what works for one child, what works for the next child. It can be just pick and choose from the different styles you like, and you just build your curriculum that way. So that is a quick overview, and I'll link below to a more in-depth look at all of those approaches to homeschooling. Number 3 is you're going to want to start researching curriculum. There is a lot, and it can be overwhelming. With all these styles, you can pretty much find curricula for each homeschool style that I just went over. And so to get in your mind, like, kind of your style, what you like, and then to go from there as your springboard to start searching for curricula. You can find curriculum that encompass all the subjects, that you just buy it and there it is, it's good to go, you're ready for the year, or you can pick and choose, or you can have a little more of a relaxed approach where you're just picking chapter books and good literature, that kind of thing. So study the curricula, which then it would lead us on to point number 4, and that is go ahead and get your hands on that curriculum. Before you go to a homeschool conference or convention, I would suggest doing the research. That's why I put that at number 3, because it can be overwhelming. When you get in there and you see, oh, this works for them, this works for them, this works for them, there's so many great things, and you just want to be able to do it all. But you can't. You have to pick and listen to what people say works for their families, but remember that your kids are not their kids. Your teaching style is not their teaching style necessarily. So you have to pick what works for you. And just because it works this year, it may not work next year. You may pick something that you think is going to work and it really doesn't, but you're not stuck with that forever. You can change. So if you make a bad call, it's okay. It's all right. It doesn't work for this year, it's okay. You can change it. There are a lot of used curriculum stores. There are different websites that you can get on that you can find curriculum for discounted prices. But I would suggest going to a homeschool curriculum store or a convention where you can get your hands on it and really see it. See the way it seems to be laid out. It's just a better way to get an idea of what you like. Okay, so then you commit. And so once you've gotten your hands on it, you kind of commit to that curriculum for, give yourself a time frame, like we're going to try this for this year, or for this child, and just take the plunge and get it. And then number 5 is you kind of want to set a basic schedule. Do you want to school year round? Do you want to school the traditional months of the year? Do you want to school in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, on the weekends? You can kind of decide what you want your homeschool to look like. And in most states, as long as you're reaching the required amount of days, in some states you have to do a certain amount of days, that it's okay, however you want to spread that out, but double check on your state laws. Number 6 would be tell your family. For some of us, we don't come from homeschooling families, and so it can be a tricky waters to navigate. But you want to let them know. You don't want to just all of a sudden they ask, oh, Johnny, how's kindergarten going? How's 2nd grade going? And he says, oh, I don't go to school. You may have that discussion with your family if it's not understood that you will be homeschooling already. Even if it's difficult, you'll be glad that you did and got that off your chest. And they might look at you like a crazy person for a while, but it's okay. It's all right. They're going to see that your children are just fine, function well in society. So have that discussion. And then finally, number 7, and the most important, pray. You want to pray. You want to pray for your weaknesses. You want to pray for, like for me, patience and mercy towards my children. You want to pray that you will know how to teach them, that you, as you're together all the time and seeing their strengths and weaknesses, that you will be able to effectively teach and train them and lead them to the Lord. And remember that in all the day, in all the work that you do throughout the day, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, and that is of utmost importance. So prayer over the whole year of your homeschool year is, I would put that at the actually top of the list. So last but not least is how I like to say it. But these are the 7 steps that I think if you would follow, I think you'd have a pretty good grasp of what you need to do and to get started. I hope that if you are considering homeschooling, you will dig in and don't be scared off by people saying silly things about socialization or, other weird homeschool things that people say. Just pray about it and look for a support system. And even if it's online, I know there's lots of wonderful online support systems. So I'll be linking to a few things down below, and check those out. I hope your day is wonderful. I hope that these resources are helpful. And remember, learn to love what must be done.